This is Scorp, a Roblox obby builder who in January of 2024 hopped on a game called Tower Creator, a game inspired by eternal towers of hell that let anyone build complex parkour towers. It was a simpler and more accessible alternative to Roblox Studio, and Scorp wanted to create the next top 1 tower on Roblox. After watching the verification of Citadel of Infinite Void, the hardest tower at the time, he thought it looked surprisingly simple. What he didn't realize was that Citadel of Infinite Void was 2 hours long, less about raw skill and more about endurance. Still, Scorp started building what he believed was a harder tower. But after a single message from one of Roblox's greatest obbyists, everything changed. Before we start this video, I'd really appreciate if you could subscribe. Only a small percentage of the people who watch my videos are actually subscribed. And with your help, I want to reach 30,000 subscribers by the end of summer. So if you could hit that red button, it would mean the world to me. Anyway, let's get back into the video. The story begins in 2022. Back then, Scorp was like many others in the Roblox obby community. He spent most of his time playing towers and other obbies, but he never seriously considered building a full tower himself. To him, it just felt like too much, and honestly, it's hard to blame him. Towers are usually pretty long. Each one is made up of 10 full floors, with the difficulty scaling all the way from beginner towers to unreal. The highest difficulty reached by humans, reserved for the hardest towers on Roblox. Scorp had dabbled in building before. He'd made a difficulty chart obby and a few shorter tiered obbies. Obbies often harder than towers, but much shorter. But then, for nearly 2 years, Scorp disappeared from the community, taking a long break from obbying altogether. But when he finally returned, a lot had changed. The difficulty ceiling had been shattered. There were new obbyists and new towers. Most notably, Citadel of Infinite Void, a giant 2-hour endurance test that became the first Unreal difficulty tower verified. It was known for being completely endurance based and taking longer than any tower on the top towers list, and not for raw difficulty. Scorp saw Skitsuna's verification of it and misunderstood what he was looking at. To him, it looked surprisingly easy for a top 1. What he failed to realize was that the run he watched was almost an hour long. Scorp was so confident he could create a top 1 tower that he set out to build something that he believed would be harder. But what he'd end up creating wouldn't even come close to the difficulty of Citadel of Infinite Void. In January of 2024, Scorp started building the tower, and his plan was to create it completely camera control based, such as jumps that require you to swiftly wiggle your camera. The gameplay was heavily inspired by a builder named, Glizzy Gladiator. Yeah. Anyway, he enjoyed his gameplay and wanted to create a tower with fast camera control jumps. At the time, no one was really making towers like that, and Scorp found the gameplay really fun and exciting. As work began on the tower, he quickly realized that thinking of camera control jumps would quickly become a problem. He wanted to make the tower good, and didn't want jumps to repeat over and over again. So in the process of building, he had deleted over 100 jumps that he thought just weren't good enough. Still, progress was steady. But there was still one more question. What would he call this tower? That answer would eventually present itself. One day, while working on the tower, his friend Augmented Retribution joined him in the game. As they listened to the music on floor 1, Augmented Retribution had an idea. He said, "The music is called wigglecore, and most of your jumps are wiggles. You should definitely name it Tower of Wigglecore." Scorp finished building the tower in just about 2 weeks, but almost instantly, he realized something. His creation was only around horrific difficulty, a full level below Citadel of Infinite Void. But he didn't mind. He had set out to make the next top 1 tower, but clearly, somewhere along the way, a misunderstanding had made the tower miles below top 1. So, he let it stand as a horrific tower. That is, until one of Roblox's best players at the time reached out to him with a simple request: permission to buff the tower and turn it into the hardest tower on Roblox. This is Speechless, a player well known in the obby community. By 2023 and into 2024, he had cemented himself as one of the best obbyists on Roblox, conquering multiple obbies from the hardest top obby lists. In April of 2024, Speechless stumbled upon Tower of Wigglecore, and immediately it caught his attention. He verified the horrific version made by Scorp, and he saw the potential that could push the tower all the way to top 1. So he messaged Scorp and asked a simple question: could he buff and redesign the tower to make it unreal difficulty? Scorp didn't hesitate and said yes. And so, Speechless got to work. In just 1 to 2 days, he transformed the tower, buffing the gameplay, creating design, and turning it into an unreal tower. At the time, the buffed version's difficulty was believed to stretch beyond unreal into nil difficulty. And now, it was only a matter of time before someone stepped up to grind it. Enter Boomsasuk, widely considered as one of, if not the greatest obbyists Roblox has ever seen. Boomsasuk has been on the top of Roblox obbying for years. He had made a name for himself through completions that were thought impossible to most of the community. Boomsasuk was on a completely different level, and by 2025, he had gotten 3 top 1 tower verifications to his name, and was actively searching for his 4th. That's when another top hobbyist, Monster is a Block, showed Boomsasuk a tower that was pretty much completely unknown at the time. Boomsasuk didn't give much thought to it, but its unique gameplay instantly caught his attention. Before Tower of Wigglecore, there weren't any towers that had relied on camera control for most of its gameplay. He spent just 20 minutes all jumping the tower, placing checkpoints after every jump to test consistency. And by the end of that session, he knew this was it. In December of 2024, Boomsasuk first set his sights on the tower, making surprisingly quick progress, reaching floor 3 within just a few hours of attempts. He was still clueless about what awaited him further into the obby, since he kept failing way too much before reaching just floor 4. And for a good reason. The gameplay was nothing like what he was used to. Most top obbies relied on precise alignments, but Tower of Wigglecore demanded great camera control, which just wasn't the norm for top obbies. Floors 2 and 4 became the hardest sections of his grind, mostly because of his own stubbornness. He refused to use consistent setups for jumps that could have made things easier. Ironically, finally reaching floor 4 gave him a false sense of motivation. He believed, just like most of the community at the time, that floors 4 through 8 were easier. Eventually, he realized that that was not the case, and after failing the final jump of floor 4, Boomsasuk stepped away from the grind to focus on something else. In March of 2025, Boomsasuk beat Stairway to Heaven, one of the most infamous obbies on Roblox. The completion took a huge weight off his shoulders, and Boomsasuk was ready to take another shot at Tower of Wigglecore. Immediately, he saw his consistency skyrocket, reaching floor 6 in only about 40 hours of grinding. Boomsasuk felt it was surreal. Progressing on a tower that people still thought would take years to get verified felt amazing. His consistency was incredible, and he was getting new personal records on the tower left and right, eventually getting his first amazing run. Floor 8. A floor considered as the last challenge due to floor 9 and floor 10 having safety nets. Boomsisuk had reached floor 8, but he didn't record the run. If he went on to beat the tower in this attempt, it would have been beaten in only 60 to 70 hours of grinding. But maybe it was for the better that he failed. A verification without footage can be placed on the top towers list, even if the obbyist is someone as respected as Boomsisuk. After this incredible run, Boomsisuk had somewhat lost the spark to grind the tower and decided to take a break from it. Until Tower of Wigglecore got added to the Eternal Abyss. The Eternal Abyss is an official Eternal Towers of Hell game, which consists of towers beyond the original difficulty chart, going beyond catastrophic into horrific and unreal difficulties. And in May of 2025, Tower of Wigglecore got added to the game. This instantly reignited Boomsisuk's spark to grind the tower and pick up where he left off. But this time, he had slightly different plans. He asked Scorp, the creator of Tower of Wigglecore, if he could change some jumps and buff the tower even more to cement it as top 1 for a long time. He buffed a lot of the gameplay, making it so almost no jumps are climbable, as that would have allowed players to create strats to consistently do almost every jump, which could lower its difficulty by a lot in the future. Jumps could be nerfed by doing long jump strategies that involved climbing. Boomsisuk got rid of all of that, making the tower strictly precision based. Exactly what it was first created to be. But after making all the changes, Boomsisuk didn't even get to grind the tower. He was forced to go on break from obbies due to college, but he would return, and Boomsisuk would beat Tower of Wigglecore. After getting all of his college work done, Boomsisuk decided he was fully set on verifying Tower of Wigglecore. Just 2 days into the grind, he knew the completion could happen at any moment, with Boomsisuk randomly having the most insane consistency imaginable. Every single day, he would get to floor 6 every session, at least 5 times. With incredible motivation knowing he could beat it at any moment, he invested 2 hours into the tower daily, finally making it to floor 8 again, only to realize it was far from being over. As quickly as his luck and consistency had appeared, it vanished just as fast. Boomsisuk began choking and failing some of the easiest jumps deep into the tower, racking up over 250 fails on floor 6 in just 4 weeks. Most players would have quit by that point. Failing floor 6 in Tower of Wigglecore is just like failing floor 8 in any other tower. Due to its unique structure, the tower only has 8 floors of actual difficult gameplay. Floor 9 is short with a small safety net, and floor 10 has a massive safety net almost guaranteeing your success, unless you fail the infamous last jump, a terrifying quintuple lodge to the wind pad. And just when it seemed things couldn't get any worse, they did. Boomsisuk went on to fail floor 7 over 50 times. The community had expected him to fluke the tower by now. No one imagined someone would suffer this badly on the final stretch. But the suffering didn't end there. Floor 8 was just as awful as the rest. He lost around 10 full runs on that one floor alone. Until July 28th, 2025. Boomsisuk had been stuck in a cycle streaming run after run, only to fall short every time. But then, as he started up another run, 1 hour, 4 minutes, and 33 seconds into that day's stream, something changed. He flew through the first 5 floors. Floor 6 came next. The floor that had caused him to fail over 250 times. He expected the same thing to happen. But not this time. He tore through the floor in just 20 seconds. Floor 7. Over 50 failed runs here too. And again, he did it. Then, floor 8. The actual final floor. And Boomsisuk crushed it. People were already celebrating and congratulating Boomsisuk in the chat, until a voice came through his headset. A friend giving Boomsisuk one last reminder.
Well, you gotta do the last jump, but like he's hella good at it, so.
The last jump is a massive quintuple lodge drop onto the wind pad. It looks extremely menacing, and it is. It's supposed to cause fear and make players choke, falling to the very start. This was it. The last jump. Just like that, Tower of Wigglecore was beaten. After months of grinding, hundreds of frustrating fails, and a mental battle unlike anything he'd faced before, Boomsisuk had done it. He didn't even react, not because he wasn't proud of the accomplishment, but because he could finally take a break from obbies. Tower of Wigglecore. The tower nobody expected to get verified had become top 1. Ironically enough, harder than Citadel of Infinite Void, just like Scorp planned it to be. And with it, Boomsisuk claimed his 4th top 1 tower, once again proving why he's the greatest obbyist Roblox has ever seen.